what another one. I'm going to cover a few different subjects today. Thought we'll cover something a bit more specific to freelancing, because it's sort of, the last few years, sort of developed into our Idiot's Guide to Freelancing in 3D. So I thought I'd cover something that's got some bearing on me this week, and that is payment. How much to charge, how to get paid, trouble you might have dealing with clients on the payment front, things like that. And I've had a little bit of trouble this week. Every now and again you get a client or two that will wait until they've actually got, everything done, and then suddenly decide they want to renegotiate the fee. I don't personally stand for that. They don't pay the money, they don't get the the resources that I've done for them, and then they'll go public, something like that. You get nothing for nothing in this world, especially not when somebody's spending time working on them. There's a number of ways people use to try and either get something for nothing or to get a reduction. A classic one is because they know that a lot of people in the 3D world maybe don't declare everything to the tax man. It's actually ask for a tax number, right? Now a lot of guys will run screaming at this point and say, "Oh, I'll tell you what, you can just have anything." I don't. Fine, you want a tax number, great. Know the tax system inside out. I know when you need one and when you don't. For example, if you're a British guy and you're doing work for somebody abroad, they do not need your tax number, right? It has no bearing on their tax system whatsoever. They don't need it. The only reason they would need a tax number is if you are an employee, and if you're only doing a one-off job, it means they're working a fiddle with the tax man, right? They're trying to say, their tax man in America, look, this guy's working for us full time, but we've got his tax number, which of course causes your whole world to hurt later on. So when somebody asks me for that, I know that they're going to try it on a bit. I've had that this week. Another one I had was when something was being collected for a client. There was a UPS collection. This is talking ages back. They were, going to be paying for all this and all that. But until 2 months back, I get a letter from UPS saying we haven't been paid. So I goes up to this particular, company and says, "Look, can you please deal with this? You've made a lot of money out of, what I've just sent you. So it'd be nice if you, kept your end of the bargain." This was this faithfully. Then on Friday, I get another letter through from UPS saying, "Guess what? We still haven't been paid." So today I'm going to have to give them a phone call and say, "Look, I'm not supposed to be paying for all this. This other company is." So this individual will be given, the person who's in charge of this company, 24 hours to sort the problem, and that's it. As far as I'm concerned, they're a bad payer. Now, people who are bad payers to me, I go public on. It doesn't happen very often. In fact, I've only had it happen once. Somebody refused to pay, or they don't keep it there under the bargain. In breach of contract, you've got a couple of options. You either go to a solicitor or a lawyer if you're an American, same difference, different word, or you try and handle it yourself. That depends who you're dealing with. Some people, I have to think of people in terms of people I've known in my life. There's one particular type of person I call a Rob character. These are the people who, no matter what you do, you can show them proof of anything that they are wrong, and they will never admit it. Somebody else is always at fault. If you haven't paid if they haven't paid you, then it's your fault somehow for just being there, right? You have people like this. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. These people will avoid arguments at all costs. Now that, too, with freelancers like me, is really good news, because it means then that when it comes down to the crunch, that's something I can basically bottle them out on. These are all little business tips, by the way. Business isn't nice. I've said this time and time again. Sometimes the people you're dealing with are arseholes, right? Let's face it. You don't have to like somebody to do a job for them. It's always nice if you do, right? Or you go the legal route, which depends on who you're dealing with. Some people, are allergic to lawyers, right? And they'll cave straight away. A quick cease and desist or whatever, and they'll cave in. Other people will fight it every step of the way. Depends on the size of the company and the type of individual at the top. If you're dealing with somebody who's just as pig-headed as I am, and isn't allergic to lawyers like I'm not, then you could be in for spending a lot of money, right? You've got to work out whether it's actually worth it or not. But if it's not, then you've got to look at the other way, which is not very nice, but basically go public and say, Company X has not paid me, I've done this work, they're refusing, and make it public. Sometimes it shames into doing it. Don't like doing that. As I say, I've only done it once, that was many years ago. And I've got no intention of doing it again unless pushed. Now, people always ask, how much should I charge as a freelancer? It really does depend where you're at, what your skill level is, and what area you're aiming at. Nobody will tell you their going rate, right? Or if they do, they're lying, because nobody wants anybody at the same skill level in the same area as them undercutting them, right? Taking their work. That's the bottom line. But they also, it's not anybody's interest to have an industry full of really, really good people, right? You want people who are good enough to keep the 3D world going, but not good enough to take your work off it. Reality of life. So, what I would say is, work out how much you're worth. Find out what other people are charging. Don't say you're a 3D artist. Pretend you're a company. Find out what you're charging. Alright? Take advice off somebody you trust well. Right? Not somebody that you've just met online. Not somebody that you talk to on MSN, for a couple of weeks. I'm going to see the sheep are agreeing with me. Somebody you know well, right? If you don't know anybody, you've got sort of trial and error. Be aware that if you try and undercut other people, all that happens is you end up doing a lot of work for very little money. It also means then that person will be less inclined to give more money later on, even if you put your prices up. So get a price and stick to it. Now the only exception to this is if you suddenly find yourself with a lot of work coming in, more work than you can handle. Now as a business you should always have ideally more work than you have the ability to do, right? You should always be turning work away. And every time you've got, say, 200% more than you can handle, and up your price, right? Until eventually you'll get to a stage where things are nice and happy and poodling along. You've got enough money coming in, the work you're putting in, and also you're not basically piddling around with tiny little jobs, like make me a fence post and I'll give you a tenner, sort of thing, right? It's all very well, things like that do need doing, but it's better to look at the larger jobs sometimes. So I'll just check the time. About 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left. We'll probably continue in the next bit, but it's all down to how much you think you're worth. If you think you're not worth very much, then you basically bring down the prices in the industry as a whole. Now, people think, but I'll make loads of money. No, you won't, because people will always try and back you down anyway. And Mr. Ram over there is having a damn good bleat, aren't you, son? He's agreeing. These sheep know all about 3D. You want to know how much you charge in 3D? Come and ask these sheep. But, see, he's telling you. That's how much you need to charge. But, yeah, so see, he's telling you as well. Go to the tax system now. You need to know business inside out. What I say next might come across as nasty. I don't mean it to. I mean it to come in as a bit of a reality check. We're all artists, but art, and when somebody's paying you to do something, you're in business, right? You must have a good business head. You must know the inside and outs of how the tax system works. Know some basic accounts, so that if you have an accountant that's going to try and pull one over on you, it does happen, that you at least know what you're dealing with and how to stop it. Know the law, no copyright law, basically boring stuff. It's not all about making nice pictures and nice faces and whatever, A lot of it's hard slog, it's a production line. It's no different to run the factory making table coasters, right? Won't you hold a hell of a lot more interested. Let's see how much I've got time left. Right, after winding this up, I'll go to part 2. And we'll continue onwards about that and some other stuff, right? See you in a minute.